Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. I have decided to do something I thought I would never ever do, and that's make dominoes. I don't play dominoes. I don't know anyone who plays dominoes, and yet I feel like I'm gonna make some. Someone I saw the other day, someone had made some and they were so beautiful. So I thought that I would give it a go. So this is my dominoes mold. I'm gonna use this paper and see how it goes. So this paper, I've sealed it 3 times with the Rust-Oleum 2 times clear gloss is what I think it is. I'll put it in the description below. But I've sealed the paper 3 different times. I spray it once, I let it rest for 30 minutes. I do it again, 30 minutes, and then I spray it a final time and then let it rest for 2 hours. And when I say let it rest, it's not a steak. I'm not letting it rest. I'm just letting it dry. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I am going to cut out the shapes of the dominoes on this paper. And so in the end, it should look like that. Of course, you can't really see what that looks like, right? So let's get started. I found the easiest way to cut something out to make sure that you get an accurate shape is to make a blank. And so all I did was I took some resin-crete and I filled in a couple of dominoes with the resin-crete, let it dry, and now I have the perfect size to make sure that when I cut out my paper that it's gonna fit in the mold. So I'm gonna start with 1, see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. This paper is almost the exact size of the dominoes, so I'm hoping that I can cut really accurately and not have any issues. So let's give it a try. I'm pretty excited about this. All right, so I am just going to put it down pretty much just along that edge right there, as close as I can get it, and then I'm just gonna draw around it. If I can get the cap off of my Sharpie. I think there might be a little resin in there. So I'm just going to get that lined up again since I took my big paw off of it. And then I'm just going to outline this. And then I'll cut this out, check it for fit, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let's go with this first one. It's always so nerve-wracking when you make that first cut because it's like, oh, I don't know, what if I do it wrong? Does anybody else get all sing-songy when they get nervous? Okay. Oops, I guess I should actually just cut that and not try to pull it off, huh? Okay. All right, so let's see if this is gonna fit. So all of our corners need to be a little bit rounded. So that's easy enough to do. Just round our corners. Okay. And then we'll just see. It's just a little bit too big, which is fine. Just take a little bit off the top, round that corner again, and just see. That is a pretty darn good fit. I am going to go through and I'm going to cut out all of these first, and then we'll be back. We'll pour some resin and all of that, but that's going to take me a little bit, so I will do that off camera, and then I'll be back to you when that's all finished, and we'll move on to the next step. And we're back with voice over me because I have a mask on, and when I talk, I sound like Darth Vader, and it's really not. It's not good. And I know my impression, spot on. I am sure that James Earl Jones would be just like, oh my gosh, she sounds just like me. So I cut out all of the different dominoes, and oh my, did it take a while. Although it was a little therapeutic, I must say. I mixed up 6 ounces of the J. Diction High Gloss Resin, And it is my go-to resin for almost everything. It is one of my very favorites. It's so great at just letting all of its bubbles release, and it makes the finish so glossy and so shiny. I did split the resin into 2 separate cups just so that it didn't get too hot too quickly. The more volume you have in a cup, the faster it heats up. And I definitely didn't want to run into an issue with flash cure, so I did just split it up into 2 separate cups. Also, I find it's easier to pour, since I only wanted to fill these, each one of the individual dominoes about halfway. I feel like it's easier to pour if you pour from something that's a little bit smaller and squishy. I filled up all of the dominoes on the top row first, so that way I would have all the resin in there, since this is going to get a little bit messy. And I have to be really honest, I don't like messy, especially with resin, because it is so sticky. But I feel like this is one of those things, when you use paper, you unfortunately have to kind of get in there with your hand sometimes. So I just took each one of the little pieces of paper and I coated each one with resin on the front before laying it down into the domino mold. Super fast forward, I took all of the individual pieces of paper and put them into all of the molds, making sure that I was pushing them down over and over again so that way they didn't float to the surface. And then I went back and topped them up with some resin just to make sure that there was plenty of resin covering them. I took a little baby wipe, cleaned up the mold, and then poured my extras into some molds that I had on standby. And then we'll be back tomorrow and we'll coat the backs in black and then see what they look like. I can't wait. All right, fast forward to 12 hours later, and I'm so excited. We're all finished, at least with this part. I started to demold it this morning because I couldn't wait. Do you ever have those moments where you come downstairs and you're just like, I have to see if it turned out. So I did unmold one of them and it looks so good. It looks so good. So we'll have to unmold the rest and see how they turned out. But I love it so far. This is what it looks like so far. But we'll pull all of them out and take a look. First, let's do our extras because I love this little, it's an elk, by the way. For, I don't know, a very long time, I've called it a moose. And it is not a moose. It is an elk. So, my bad. Oh, look how pretty that is. That is that little piggy. What is that? It's this little piggy in Twinkle. And that is so pretty. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is gorgeous. It has a little bit of crushed crystal in there too. Not sure if it's picking it up or not, but so pretty. Okay. And this little one is so hard to demold. It's my very favorite extras mold because it is just so cute. I have an entire army of these little things, but they are really, really tough to demold. They're just, you know, it's just a little tight guy. He's just hard to come out. Squirted a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in there to kind of get it going, and then it just kind of laughs and says, no thanks. One day I'm going to end up just ripping the mold, trying to get this little guy out. Okay. Oh, look how cute he is, or she is. Look how cute they are. Their little ears. I'll put a little face on him, with some little eyes, a little nose, and a little mouth, and he can join the elk army that is happening over here. I'll have to show you all of the elk army at some point. Okay. We ready for the main event? I'm pretty excited. Okay, so this is our first one, which we've already seen. And then there's this one. And you know what I wish I would have done differently that I didn't do, which I think was a mistake? I backed them in black. I had a plan originally to back them in the same kind of greeny color, but I didn't. I don't know. My brain just wasn't focusing, I guess. And so I did them in black, which, I mean, black is fine. It's good for the back because, of course, with dominoes, you don't want people to be able to see the patterns or anything like that. but you can also see a little bit more of the cut marks. So if the color in the background would have matched more closely with the image, you would see less of the harsh lines, but that's okay. I can live with that. For a first time, I don't hate it. But yeah, if I was gonna do it again, I would definitely go with a color that is closer to the background. So here we go. There's a couple of air bubbles in these, but these I can fix pretty easily. If you see it's on the end, I can just fill that with some UV resin. I think that should fix that. The same thing over here. Most of these are pretty bubble free, but this one also has an air bubble on the end. All right, well, I'm going to color in the numbers, and I will come back to you when I'm all finished. Let's actually go with this chrome marker from Let's Resin. Give it a good shake, and then we'll just color these in. Okay, so these are finished. I'm not completely happy with them, but I learned a lot of lessons. One, I learned to take my time, and I knew better, and to go in with a dotting tool, making sure that there are no bubbles along the edges, because a lot of these have little tiny bubbles on the edges. I knew better, and I did it anyway. Also, I would use a different paper. I think this paper is just too intricate, and so you can't really, a lot of the detail gets lost, and it's so dark. And part of the darkness, I think, is probably to do with the black on the back, but it's still just, it's kind of dark. So I would use a lighter paper. I would use probably something that's more just of a pattern than trying to be all fancy and artsy. But ultimately, I don't hate them. I learned a lot of really good lessons. And yeah, so what do you think? So if you like this video and maybe come back for some redemption with some dominoes where I don't have air bubbles all in them, hit the like button, and I'd love for you to subscribe.